there, my gorgeous Facebook design divas. Hello, my Instagram design lovelies. Oh my gosh, you guys look great. It's so good to be here with you. How are you doing during COVID-19? I'm Donna Hoffman. First and foremost, we'll get that out of the way. I'm Donna Hoffman. They call me the interior design advocate because I advocate on behalf of design lovers everywhere to help you wipe out the ugly room, get rid of the disappointing result, and I do that with online strategies that I teach to you in my online courses, online strategies with design strategies that I teach in my online courses. And when I'm not doing that, I'm actually running a luxury design company. There's a little teeny bit of our fabric library behind me in my office, and the larger piece of the whole library is down in the design studio. This is just sort of our overflow. So welcome to you every Tuesday at 2 p.m. No, wrong. Every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern. I stop what I'm doing here at our design studio. Usually Katie, my cohort, is here to my left, but because of COVID, everybody's working remotely except for Steve Hoffman, who lives here. So anyway, we stop what we're doing at our design studio and we come out here and we teach you a lesson on design, and it is great to be here with you. First and foremost, I want to know how you are. How are you holding up through this COVID thing? Maybe the part of the country where you live, things are already lifting and releasing. I live close to a hotspot. I'm right outside of Philadelphia, not too far from New Jersey. Actually, I could sneeze and hit New Jersey. New Jersey's not too far from Manhattan, and I can be up in Manhattan by car if Steve Hoffman's driving in about an hour and maybe 7 minutes if I'm driving an hour and 20 minutes. Shh, don't tell. Anyway, so we're in lockdown still. Hopefully things will be lightening up, and I hope you're well where you are and that life is starting to feel like it's returning back to normal. So throughout this whole COVID moment we've been in, I always like to find out first that you're doing okay, that you're healthy, that you're safe. And if you still want me to teach about design, everybody's been loving having design as a diversion, as you girls have been saying. Happy to teach to you today about paint color trends for 20 and 21. So first, let me see how everyone's doing. So as always, my Instagram girls are sending me waves and hugs. So waves and hugs back to you. And I'm getting hellos from people on Facebook. Everybody seems to be doing good. Thank you so much for doing these lives, Ruth is saying. You are welcome, Ruth. I love being here with you guys. You are such a joy in my life. I'm getting more waves. So yeah, I guess you guys want me to talk about, let's do it. Let's talk about paint color trend. So I don't want to make anyone nervous when we talk about trends, because you have to know that trends follow different lines. There are trends that happen in cities and they take a little while to reverberate out to the suburbs. And no, the great news is that trends don't just start and stop, as I teach in some of my courses as well. When I teach you how to read a trend, trends tend to develop and morph, and then they might go flat for a while before they start to turn and go back up, right? They keep moving. They don't just stop immediately. So let's talk about paint color trends, because the white wall has really taken off, right, in the last few years, and we don't see that stopping. Now, when I say white, I don't necessarily mean the white of my shirt or the white of my throw, right? These whites can be a little dirty. They can be a little warm. They might have a gray undertone to them. They might have a little bit of a pale blue undertone, still reading like a white. They might have a little bit of a yellow undertone, right? Or a bit of a gray, that gray undertone when they get a little, like what I call dirty, or a little warm. So the white trend is not going away. In fact, light walls in total are still trending strongly for 20 and 21. And there are a couple of things I think that are behind that trend in total happening and continuing. Number one, open concept is here to stay. We've talked about open concept. I've taught you about designing in open concept. We've talked about it here in our Facebook Lives in the past. So, with open concept, you don't tend to break the color. And so these light walls that have started in parts of open concept, they're just kind of continuing right through to the kitchen and every area within that open concept. So open concept is not going away. So I think that pale walls are going to stay around quite a bit longer for that reason. And also Instagram, there you are. The 9 square, as it's called, as an Instagrammer or a social media influencer, what we're taught is that you want to keep your 9 square looking light and fresh and bright, because that is what looks really good in a small space. on a feed, on a phone, right? On an Instagram feed. So these lighter, more blown out images, these lighter walls, I think for Instagram reasons alone are going to keep going as well. So let's talk about the paints though a little more specifically in a little bit. I'll take your questions about paint trend or color, wall color trend, and I'll talk to you if you have a question about your own home, as long as I don't need to see a picture to be able to answer you well, and as long as you're not asking me to weigh in on your paint color, because I teach design divas like you to build muscle so you can do your own designing, not have the coach design for you. I coach you through how to do the designing. So I won't do the work for you, but I can certainly give you some guide points. But anyway, let's talk about trend. So we're continuing to see the whites, the warm whites as well. We're continuing to see gray happen as a paint movement. We've been talking about how gray has been moving out as a trend. I don't want you to be afraid of gray, because I think it's wrong for any influencer to say gray is dead or gray is dying. It's not, it's changing. The great designers, the Albert Hadleys of the world, the current day Jamie Drakes or Vincenzo Wolf, they don't avoid a great neutral like gray because it was such a hot trend color a few years ago. What changes is the way you use the color. So are we still seeing gray walls? Yeah, we are, but they tend to be much paler. And where the gray trend is definitely changing is you're not seeing gray on every single surface. And I'm not sorry to see that move aside. It's sort of that, it started kind of with like a restoration hardware thing where the wall was a pale gray and the upholstery was pale gray, and all the case goods, right? All the wood furniture was like a washed down, grayed down, sort of like what driftwoody kind of look like. That got very trendy. And that, of course, we've seen changing. But still, gray is a pale neutral on a wall, not going away. And also the taupes, what I call, some of you call them grays, right? I do too. It's really a taupey color. It can go gray in certain lights and beige in others. And so we are seeing, when you hear about the brown trend, it's not that chocolate brown is coming back in. It's just that the neutrals are taking on more of a brown cast, meaning the taupes. And now also some of the tans and sands are coming back in as well. That blushy pink, we're still seeing that happening. We expect to see that continue into 2021. Here's something you may not be so happy about, but it makes sense as a reaction to all of the blush. Starting to see some rose and mauve coming in as some wall colors. I know a lot of you are like reaching for the barf bucket right now. I'm not saying it'll happen. Just because trend forecasters are saying, hey, this could happen, doesn't mean that mauve is going to be everywhere, on the sun. But if you think about it, trends are reactions to one another. So if, just pulling out a paint deck here. So if you had this moment where everything was in this like really pale blushy pink, like really pale, right? Or even blushier, right? Even more washed out, right? Even more of that like pale blushy pink, right? So doesn't it make sense that then rose would start to come in and mauve would come in, right? It's all about a reaction. Trend is a reaction to what came before. So if I feel so spastic with this paint deck because I'm trying to show it to you rather than work with it. So if these really pale blushes were happening, it makes sense that you add a little bit of black to it. It starts to deepen up and turn into something else. I will ask for a check, please, and ask to leave when all the terracottas come back on the wall and the deep olives. I don't miss that. So that's what we're not seeing. We're not seeing those dark earth tones as a hot trend. That doesn't mean, though, if you love these colors, that you can't still work with them. You can. If you wanted an olive wall or olive walls in your office, go for it. I always teach that what you love is more important than the trends, except when you're trying to sell the property, then you want to be real trendy. Keep those wall colors as neutral as possible, and as light and open so people can, picture your home with them in it. So what we're not seeing as a trend for wall color, we're not seeing a lot of the brown, like dark chocolates, the dark deep sages. We're not seeing a ton of pastels, still not seeing a ton of yellow, but the blushy pink is still there and that pale grayed down blue is still there. I was looking at some great stuff for some projects that I'm working on. Really great wallpaper by Philip Jeffries. I do not have a relationship with them, but I just want to show you something. Wait, that's wrong. That's not what I want to show you. Still Philip Jeffries. Yeah. So this is a really cool wallpaper where you can kind of put different rivets on it and different patterns. But I just want to show you, they show you different background colors that you could put these different rivets on. Like this is one pattern of the riveting. Can you see that? Right? These are the rivets that you could put on it. But they show you the background colors that you could put this on. I mean, there's your trend palette right there, right? You've got the whites. You've got the sandy tans, you've got the grays, you've got some of the grayed down blues as well. So these colors are safest, these neutrals, these pale neutrals, they don't tend to trend down as much as color does. That said, if you love a particular color and you want to do, I don't know, some emerald green in a high gloss in your study or in your dining room, why the heck not do it? So I want you to feel comfortable stepping out with a color if you want it. What I suggest you not do is chop up your home into a million different colors. That is definitely a trend in terms of, forget the color itself, but in terms of application, that is a trend that we've seen leave. Or every room gets its own color. We're seeing, even if you're not open concept, we're seeing, let's say you're in a center hall colonial, we're seeing, you know, that foyer color might spill into the living room, dining room, and start to push into the back of the home. And then, you know, maybe it morphs and deepens by 10 or 15%. And then there's another movement of color that happens, as opposed to this room gets this color, this room gets this color, this room gets that color. So that's certainly a trend that we're seeing. Another wall treatment trend that I'll tell you about, and even though we're talking about paints, I pulled out wallpaper. I'm going to tell you right now, wallpaper is definitely back. For years they were talking about it's going to come back. Oh, it's back. And at first it was just about the grass cloths and this mid-century modern movement. But now there are these printed grass cloths and printed papers and, you know, really geometric, interesting papers. If you were scared off by paper, get back into the dark side. They're pretty great. Whether you want to do a splash wall with it, or whether you want to do something, you know, in a powder room, just to dip your toe back in the water. I'm looking at doing something in a dining room I'm designing right now. Haven't presented it to the client yet. Don't know if they're going to go for it, but I'd like to do an accent wall that has a printed paper in it, and then take the background of that paper and run it elsewhere in this dining room. Shh. Keep that between you and me, because she doesn't know about it yet, and he doesn't know about it yet either. So anyway, I hope that helps you. Just looking at my notes to see if there's something I haven't told you about in terms of trend in paint. The blues, the blue grays are continuing. Oh, and I did mention sage green. Dark sage green is not happening, but the very pale washed out sage greens, there are trend forecasters that are saying in the materials I'm reading in the industry that could start showing up in the middle to end of 2021. So if you are a sage lover and you're looking for that to happen, it could happen. So, lovelies, if you would like to put in a question, a paint trend question or a wall treatment question, we'll open it up a little bit even there. Feel free, and I'm happy to take your questions. And while you're putting those in, I'll tell you what we're talking about next week. Next week, we're talking about designing with ceiling fans. And I've got a great blog post that's going to be coming out on that as well. I was working last night with some of my more motivated Design Diva students. I call them my more motivated, and maybe some of them are more advanced. But I got a lot of, I guess, getting questions about ceiling fans. So I said, hey, we're going to be doing something great on that in a Facebook Live. So that's next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. All right, so we've got a question coming in from Insta, from Zi Zamazri, saying, would you think navy blue would be nice for a fireplace with a white wall background? Ooh, well, are you doing like a navy blue tile? Are you doing like a cool navy blue surround and and you're going to give it a gloss like a wood? I think that could be just spectacular looking. I love it. Blue and white is such a classic. Just love it to bits. And it just keeps staying. It keeps staying like the black and white interiors that are so hot right now too, and are classic and have long roots and history as is blue and white. And what makes it trend worthy or gives it staying power is how you handle it, right? So I like the idea. I think it's a great idea. I'd love to see a picture though, but I like it. I bless it as a theory. I bless it. All right, let's see what other questions we might have here. Ruth is saying, wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for doing lives. You are welcome, Ruth. And Elaine is saying 51 days. I know. On this stay in place. I know, Ruth, I'm hearing you. I mean, Elaine, I hear you. I will be happy when this is in our rear view for many reasons. I know you guys, I'm sure, feel the same way. Sherry is saying, no normal in Nevada yet. Glad to be here today. I am so glad to have you with us as well. Getting thumbs up from people. Mary's healthy and safe. I love it. Okay, Cheryl's doing great, getting hellos. Pam is happy to be here. She loves being here. I love having you here, Pam. I'm getting more hellos. Jane is saying hello from France. Oh, Jane, wish I was in France with you right now. Don't know when I'm going to get back over there with the craziness of travel. I mean, I don't know about you girls, but those of us who are more mature roses on the vine, you stick a mask on me, I start getting really hot after a while. I don't mean like sexy hot. I mean, I'm hot as hell. Can I take the mask off? So if I get really hot in Costco wearing a mask for 40 minutes to run through that store, I cannot imagine sitting on a flight wearing a mask for 7 hours or 3 hours. Really hope we find a vaccine very quickly, because this mask thing is a pain in the ass, a pain in the neck, pardon me, but necessary to keep everybody healthy. So I'm not complaining. I'm just sharing. All right. Cheryl is saying, what's the best way to go from the rich yellows to a trending color and still feel like everything matches? Gray. Pull in the grays and the grays and you will be A-okay. And I think you can even start to pull in some of the creams and sands. Those creamy colors are great connectors also, and they're not, that's not going away either. Connie's yelling, no mauve. Connie, I hear you. I am not looking forward to that coming back. I'm really not either, but we shall see. And listen, just because a trend happens, you can step past it. I'm sure there are clothing trends that happen. You think, not on my body. Well, then you just step past it. Same thing with design trends. If there's something you loathe and detest, listen, we have clients and I have students who have never loved gray and they have avoided gray throughout the gray trend. Hey, more power to you. You don't hate it. Don't do it. Linda is saying, can we rewatch this video? If so, where will it be? Linda, I did not pay Linda $5 to give me that lead in, but yes, you can go to YouTube, Linda, and everybody else. If you missed any portion of this video, I will tell you, don't take a lot of questions there after the fact. So put your questions in now. And I don't do that to be a pill. It's just that I'm running a luxury design business and I'm teaching my courses and working with my students. So there's only so much a woman can do. So get your questions in now. We try to answer you though on YouTube when you can. So you can find it on YouTube, and we are the Interior Design Advocate on YouTube. Jackie is saying that she likes wallpaper. I like it, Jackie. Sean is saying, I want to paper my powder room. Does help. What? You didn't finish your sentence there, but definitely paper your powder room. The one thing I wouldn't do that a lot of the painters like to do, they like to paper the switch plate, and you've got these wet hands that are barely dried or not dried well, and it starts to wear away the switch plate, especially if it's a grass cloth. So, oh my gosh, look at all these questions. Steve, slow down. Okay, so anyway, you might want to tell the paper installer, just give me a plain switch plate, or if you're gonna paper a switch plate, give me 4 of them so I can, change them out as they start to wear out. Okay, so Grown Up Curl is saying, can water painted walls be washed? Can water paint, I mean like a water-based paint, can they be washed? Yeah, they can be. Zoe Pilates says, hello from the UK. Zoe, good to have Zoe here with us from England. We've got followers all over the place, which is great. We love being in England. We're in France today as well. We're in Canada. Love it all, not to mention this glorious, great country of ours in the US of A. Lisa 6100, do you think that flock paper would black flock paper? Is that flock, Steve?
Yes.
Black flock paper would look good behind a bed. Yes, so sexy. I want to see a picture of that. Oh, love it to bits. Love it to bits. Listen, guys, whether it's a wallpaper or whether it's a paint, I want you to think about your walls as the envelope that's going to push or absorb the thing you put in front of it. And what are you putting in front of it? Your furniture. So if you have really dark bedding, you probably don't want to do black blocked paper behind your bed. But if you have light bedding that's going to push forward, how cool is that? Also, what color is your furniture? Do you want to make it just pop off that wall? So love that idea. Triple Bonnie is saying, how can you wallpaper around windows? Do you need to trim out your windows? Triple Bonnie, you need a professional wallpaper installer. That is not me. I am the girl that designs it and hires people to do it. But yeah, there's a lot of cutting in to do. That's why wallpaper is more costly on the labor side. I wouldn't do it yourself. The stories I hear is that when married couples try to wallpaper together, it's not good. There a lot of fighting happens. So I say make love, not wallpaper installation together. That's just my own 2 cents. Okay, so I'm a little silly today. I think it's because my hair is growing out and I'm stir crazy. I don't know, something like that. Joe Collins is saying, I just painted a 3-level stairwell down to the foyer in light gray. Should the entryway be gray or accent color or paper? Oh, paper would be beautiful. I think paper would be just stunning that. But that's just me. When we go up to the Kip Space Show House up in New York, like a great show house, these designers have at it with paper in these foyers. Let me tell you, great statement, great way to say hello to your guests. Are accent walls still popular? Mary wants to know. You know what? I have a course called Design CPR, Creating Perfect Rooms with Accessories. And there's a little surprise module in there on paint. What? If we're facelifted with accessories, why is there a paint module in there? Because sometimes a little splash wall or splash color on your ceiling will help your accessory makeover just pop. So that's why I have it in there. So here's the thing with accent walls, to answer this great question that Mary is asking. So it's not that they're out, it's just that you don't want to overdo them. I wouldn't do more than 1 in your home, maybe 2. So if you have it in your dining room as an accent wall, then maybe something in a bedroom, that's it. But I wouldn't do it in every single room of your home. Or if you have an accent color on a ceiling in one room, I wouldn't do it absolutely everywhere. But that's true of design in total. You don't want to overuse a device, right? We're designing for a client right now, and we're doing a certain setup of furniture in front of a fireplace in her study. She's asking if we can do the same thing in her bedroom. I said, do you really want to repeat that device? We've used it. There are some other cool things that we can do for you instead. We'll see where she ends up voting. So to answer you, Mary, you can use an accent wall for sure, and it can be done with wallpaper as well. Just be careful about why you are doing that accent wall. There has to be a reason. It can't just be arbitrary. And it has to somehow be some sort of feature that you're trying to drive in a room. So you're not putting it on a secondary wall or a wall that does not have importance. So for example, in the dining room where I'm thinking of doing this accent wall with wallpaper and then papering the rest of the room as well, but just not in this giant lasered pattern that's really cool, like a big mural. Clearly the focal point in that dining room is the windowed wall. So I'm creating a split focal point by doing this behind the credenza, which is opposite the window. So if you're going to do an accent wall, make sure it makes sense, as opposed to, I've seen students before they study with me doing an accent wall like in a hallway or on like this really secondary surface. And I'm saying, why are we bringing that wall forward? Why are we making a statement there? So as long as you're aligning the accent wall with what you're trying to accomplish from a design point, you are A-okay. Jennifer K is saying ceiling colors, white. What about metal finish trends for kitchen and bath? What about trends for kitchen bath colors for resale? So we're talking about wall colors really here. I could do a whole workshop just on color trends in design for sure, and kitchen and bath as well. So ceiling colors. Listen, going with a white or a dirty white on your ceiling is always safe, always classic. And please, when you're looking at your paint deck to pick out either a splash color or to pick out a white, if you're doing it on your ceiling, make sure you look at it overhead, because everything is going to gray down when you put it over your head, including your whites. And that's okay, but I want you to anticipate it. Where it gets tricky, Jennifer, is if you're trying to do Steve, you're making me nervous with how many questions you're passing over here. I got to talk faster. Like if you're trying to do a splash color in a blue, like a gray blue, Katie and I went crazy last year doing this. every time we took a blue and put it up overhead, it got so gray, it didn't read as blue. So what we had to do was pick a blue on the paint deck that was actually much sweeter than I would have wanted in this space. But by making it sweeter, it was a little bluier and sweeter and cutesier than I would have wanted. But when we put it over our head, it grayed down and went down to the right shade of blue that we wanted. So there it is. So ceiling colors, looking them over your head. Yes to white still there. And Jennifer, just because of the number of questions I'm getting, I'm going to not answer the rest of your questions, which are off topic, because I'm getting a ton of paint questions. So forgive me, and send it in as a follow-up. If we have time, we'll do that as well. So we did this. We did that one. We did this one. Okay. How can I sign up for your class? That's what Quiet Tammy Alex is saying. Tammy, go to the interiordesignadvocate.com, and on that website, you will see a tab that says, what does it say? We changed it. I don't know what it says. Oh, learn interior design. Oh, it doesn't say that. It says interior design online. It's not supposed to say that. It's supposed to say learn interior design online. I think I have to go fight with my tech team again, not Steve. It should say learn interior design online on that tab at theinteriordesignadvocate.com. And that's where you will see all of my courses. And then if you head over to the blog, we reward our blog readers with, right now we are at least, with a 20% off coupon. So get that code on that blog before you sign up for sure. All right, so let's see. So Lori is saying, what finish of paint should I use in my master bedroom? Eggshell? Great question, Lori. If your walls are a mess, eggshell, meaning they're not smooth, right? They're really, there's a lot of brushwork and stuff and a lot of nail pops. The more gloss you give a paint, the more it's going to show those imperfections in a wall. So I personally love an eggshell finish on a wall. I do, but you have to make sure that that wall is well prepped. Sometimes people will go down to a matte or a flat. And I will tell you, a lot of the homes that I'm doing now, where I'm doing design builds with builders, they're all doing flats and mattes because it hides some of the dings, I think. But it's also a soft look as well. But I will often do an eggshell or a cashmere. It depends upon the paint brand you're talking about. Sometimes they call it a cashmere. But I like a little bit of sheen without going to shine, unless you're doing a real accent wall with a shine. Then you go into high gloss, or there's a paint brand called the Fine Paints of Europe. They do these lacquered looking paints that are gorgeous, stunning gorgeous. So I hope I answered you there, Lori. Sudabe is saying, hi, Donna. If my first floor and foyer is the same color, should I make... Sudabe is actually one of my friends and my clients right now. So this is kind of funny that she's asking me this. Sud, you can actually call me in the office and I'll actually do all this for you. But anyway, Sudabe is saying, hi, Donna. If my first floor and foyer is the same color, should I make the first floor powder room a different color? Yes. I thought you and Mark and I talked about that, Sudabe. I don't think you paid attention in that meeting. Yeah, don't bring, add some color to that powder room. You got to step out, Sud. Powder rooms should be their own little... Even if they're subtle, they should have their own little direction. I think that's my 2 cents. And that's normally how we handle powder rooms. And seriously, Sudabe, you can call me and we can talk about this if you need me to pick out something for you. I know we've been separated because of COVID, but that doesn't mean you're not on my radar. Alicia is saying, if you have oak hardwood floors and natural maple cabinets in the kitchen, what paint color would keep the wood from going to gold? Any color that has a yellow undertone is going to bring out the yellow in Alicia's cabinets. So you want to avoid things that have a yellow undertone, right? Now, that's the simplest answer. If you go into something, I'm going to need a color wheel to show you this, but if you go into a color wheel and you see how colors are positioned on the wheel, when they're opposite each other on the wheel, they're going to push each other. So primary colors, red, yellow, blue, they live almost like as a triad on that color wheel. Red will make blue look more blue, and blue will make red look more red if they're positioned near each other. And with Alicia having you know, the yellow in that cabinet. If she does a blue paint color, she could push the yellow in her cabinet because blue is a contrasting color, lives opposite on the color wheel. So Alicia, I'm going to tell you, this is going to be kind of, I don't know, too much information, a little advanced, but I'm just going to tell you right up, give you the answer. Go with something with either a gray undertone or a green, like a greenish undertone could be real pretty, and not push the yellow too much. That would, I'd be giving you with green a split complement. That's why it would work. And if you did a gray or a cream, that could work as well, but you may not want cream, or so maybe a gray or a taupey gray. A taupey color could work for you. Without seeing questions, Alicia, I don't have a better answer for you, but that's off the top of my head. Do you have, okay, Ziza Mastery is saying, do you happen to know a color number in the pale sage green? No, I don't. Sorry. Tab says, learn interior. Oh, the tab says, learn interior design. Okay. Should say, okay, it says learn interior design. Good. Gee, my shirt is very low today. Sorry about that. Flashing you. Let's see. Cheryl is saying, oh no, Connie is saying, what paint color is your all-time favorite of white/white color? Well, are you asking, you know, I've got a bunch of them. Do you want a great trim color? I mean, I think Sherwin's SW, I think it's 7757. They're extra white. I think it's a great color for a trim. I use that on ceilings a lot too. There are two Sherwin colors that I like. That's one of them. And in terms of the wall color, there are a few whites that I like, and it depends if I want a gray undertone, a yellow undertone. I tend to do a lot of Ben Moore colors for my whites. I think they're really well nuanced and well balanced whites, but I think Sherwin has some good ones as well. But I tend to use the Sherwin whites more for my trims. I don't know why that is, Connie. Cheryl is saying, have you used accessible beige in open concepts? If so, will it work well with blue grays? I have used it in open concept. I don't see why it wouldn't work with blue grays, but I'd want to see what's going on in your home, Cheryl, to be able to actually answer you really well. Dottie Priest is saying, this is off concept. I'm not going to take it off concept because there's so many paint colors coming in. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm being difficult today only because I'm getting so many paint questions. Cindy Shanecki is saying, what about white dove on walls? Love it. And what about white dove on walls and the trim with different sheens for a coastal home? Love it. I've done that. Listen, I'll take my trim color and wrap it up onto my ceiling. I'll just change the sheen from a semi-gloss. You want your trims in a semi, and then I'll do the ceiling in a flat. So Cindy, I think that could be really handsome. I have no problem with doing that. I think it could be really, really good looking. Allison Lexi is saying, in a powder room with a shower and a 2, would you do all the walls or top half of the wall or 3/4 top of the walls? Allison, I don't know what you're saying to me, girlfriend. So send in a follow-up and just say it a little. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying, so I'm going to move on. Ruth is saying, my daughter wants to paint her walls white from ugly dark tan. What white wall color with wood trim? Warm or cool? Ruth, I'd want to see what else is going on in the space, and I'm not just going to hand out a wall color to you because I'd do you a big disservice if I did that. But I will tell you this though, Ruth, when you look at the potential whites on that wall, the way to really look at a white paint color is to put a piece of white paper behind it, because that will it'll show you contrast. You really need to look at all paints, but particularly whites, in comparison to one another, and having that piece of white printer paper gives you something as a jumping off point, right? It gives you something to kind of go off of. And just know that when you look at those white colors on your daughter's tan walls, when you're holding up your swatches, that tan wall color is going to affect and influence the way you're perceiving the white paint chip that you're looking at, even if you paint your wall in the new white that you're considering. So make sure that you paint a big enough swatch when you do swatch your whites or any paint, so you can really stand back and see it. And just know the surrounding wall color and furniture is going to affect how you see that color. It's the bummer part of picking out paint color. Trish is saying, what are good colors for basements with limited windows? I would keep On walls, I would keep things light and bright. I got to tell you, I mean, if you've got a really great dark, you know, carpet in a basement, and you lighten up the walls, that could be really cool. And then you can paint your trim something dark, like a black, or your door could go like a black gloss. That could be really cool looking too. But I don't know what your design style is there, Trisha. Questions being thrown over here. All right. Dottie Priest or Daji Priest says, paint color for small guest bathroom. Daji, you're going to kill me because this is another one of those questions. Like, that's so general. Any color under the sun you could do. You could do dark, you could do light. I don't know what your fixtures are. I don't know what your floor color is. What I would start for you, I would say start pulling pictures, Daji, of things that you really love. Powder rooms. And start noticing, who am I in design? What's my design fingerprint? And what kind of colors am I attracted to in powder rooms? And you'll start to see a theme arising. And then from there, you'll have a concept develop. Like, I want my walls to be this color range, this color depth, this color direction. And then you can kind of drill down from there, because it's such a great question you're asking me, but it's so general that I need you to have a little more information about yourself, as in, who are you in design, but also, you know, what are the other finishes in the room? Lisa 6100 is saying, do you think I should paint the middle of a gray ceiling? Sure. What?
Tray.
Oh, do you think I should paint the middle of a tray ceiling the same as the walls? You could. I'd have to see it, but yeah, you can get jiggy inside those for sure. No problem. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Willette is saying, we built our house in 95 and wallpaper was so in them. We have removed it and now it's back. Loving this. Okay, so she's like crying and laughing at the same time. I get it. All right, we have time for 2 more questions. And as we're getting ready for those 2 questions, I'm going to tell you that next week we're designing with ceiling fans. So there's that to look forward to in COVID cray 19. If you missed any portion of this, you find us on YouTube at The Interior Design Advocate. And if you're not following us on Instagram, are you missing the party? And you can find us at decorating.genius. That's at decorating.genius. Okay, 2 last questions. Lisa is saying, what do you think of black paint on railings of a staircase? Oh, be still my heart. I love it. Love, love, love it. Nice high gloss, sexy, gorgeous. I've done that in clients' spaces where we just did not want to put the money into you know, restaining things, and it's a great look, really great look. I'm fantasizing about doing that here in our own home. I don't know how Mr. Hoffman will go for it or not. We'll see. We'll have to see. Okay. Then Kathy is saying, my bedroom has all white walls. I love white, but I feel like I made a mistake with dark traditional furniture and Brazilian cherry floors. I can't afford new furniture right now. Any thoughts? Okay, well, Kathy, I want to know what you're doing on your windows. I mean, you might want to add like a bridge point. So maybe on your windows, you want to do a 2-layer treatment where there's a shade in a woven matchstick of some sort that's lighter than the darks of those woods, but still gives a little bit of depth, and then let the window treatment pick up the white wall and something else in terms of the panels. And I think you can certainly lighten and brighten with your bedding. And if there's any other furniture in the room, upholstered, like an upholstered bench, you can kind of try to split the, you know, bring in a little bit more of that white wall. You know, when you look at a patterned splash pillow, let's say, look at the background color. I mean, is it a dirty white? Is it a white? Is it tea stain? You know, you might want to bring in more of whatever the warmth, whatever the tone or value of that white wall might be. Maybe that will help you. All right, dolls, there are more questions, but we've overstayed our welcome, so we're going to start to wrap it out here. We will be back here on Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Can't wait to see you. We're talking about designing with ceiling fans. Oh, and on Facebook, I put out an invitation to you, but I invite you guys as well. We're going to be starting to do something very cool by popular demand and new with our monthly love note, which some people call a newsletter. We call it a love note. And it's that really cool thing that will help you in designing. We'll do some design for you, actually, and then you can just sort of make it happen in your own home. So has to do with coffee tables. So if you are not getting our love notes, you want to. I'm telling you, there's some good stuff in there. So contact us, contact Steve or Kate, and you can do that by going to customer service at theinteriordesignadvocate.com. That's customer service at theinteriordesignadvocate.com. And just in your subject line, just say join your mailing list or join mailing list. And then they'll answer you personally, say, hey, we got this from you. And look out for the next love note and when it's going to drop. Okay. So you'll hear from either Steve or Kate. You're not just blowing smoke into some generic, what the heck, customer service group. There are real people there. So there it is. You'll want to do that as well. Guys, it was so great to be here with you. I loved every second of it. Your questions are fantastic. I'm sorry if I didn't have a chance to get to your question. Love seeing you. So glad you're doing well during COVID. It will pass. This too shall pass. And we'll see you. There's something else coming in. Thank you. By the way, your hair looks great thank you. So I'm so overgrown, did my own color and did my own cut. It's just a mess, but thank you, Rochelle. I appreciate that. Steve was very nice to send that over to me. All right, girls, big hug to everybody. I'll see you next Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Hi, this is Donna. Thanks so much for watching. And if you like this video, please hit the like button and comment below so I know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to the Interior Design Advocates channel so you don't miss any of our great content.